Hello and welcome back to Ibrox, where we are dissecting Rangers 2, Middlesbrough 2 in the last of these pre-season games. Chris, I don't know if it's just me, but that felt like every inch pre-season friendly this afternoon.
Certainly the starting lineup did. I think, as Russell Martin said, he phrased it as the good ones came on. I think there's a lot of truth in that. That first half Rangers 11, not a side you want to be seeing very often. Experimental is one way of putting it. A squad or a team that just shows that Rangers have a lot of work to do to improve this starting lineup, a lot of work to do to improve this squad. Second half better. Got the goals. Danilo, a nice header from a Max Aarons cross. Finley Curtis, right place, right time. 3 goals in 3 Ibrox appearances. Now, what a run that is for him. They're the positives. I don't think there's anyone that's really banging on the door and saying I should be starting on Wednesday night. You might see Gassama come in for Dill. I'd be surprised if you see Dessers getting a start on the back of just 45 tonight. So I'd imagine it'll be Danilo. Apart from that, I don't think anyone really caught the eye.
Just going back to that first half, it was a first 45 minutes that didn't really inspire much in terms of the Rangers fans, and it was a bit frustrating at times. I felt the Rangers just not really being able to get on the ball. They couldn't put anything together, and it seems like Middlesbrough were having all their own way, and then they took the lead from a corner. From a Rangers perspective, it's a poor goal to fall behind from.
I think they gave up a number of chances that were quite poor from a defensive point of view. Long balls catching out centre halves. Rangers losing goals from set pieces. We've seen that movie quite a number of times over recent seasons. And I think Middlesbrough will be disappointed they didn't score more. Now, Rob Edwards just said in his press conference there he felt they could have had more. He believed that the Tommy Conway one wasn't offside. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make a massive difference, but you look at the Rangers performance, you look at some of the defensive mistakes, there's certainly things there that have to be ironed out, because you don't get away with that in competitive games. You don't want to find yourself too far behind in competitive games either. So a lot to get through over defensively. Second half, I thought, better defensively. Middlesbrough didn't cause as many problems. Rangers certainly better going forward as well.
All that being said, for as poor as Rangers were in that first period, they should have had a penalty going in to that second half. Luke Ayling doing his best Superman impression, getting his hand on the ball. Nothing doing from the referee or the linesman, and I think that's what caused a lot of ire in Russell Martin's mind, because he was ready. You've seen him on the touchline as the referee's walking off. He's ready to have a word with him, and we don't know what was said down the touchline, but it caused him to be sent off, and he was watching the rest of the game from the stands.
We were up that end of the gantry, saw the incident perfectly clearly, and it's one of these ones. How's it not a penalty? How's that not being given? It's almost in this world of VAR, referees think, well, I don't need to make that decision because someone else will make it for me, and I'll then bring it back and I'll get away with it. Obviously, no VAR here for the friendly today, so it's a really bad decision. Once it got made, Russell tried his best to get a hold of John Beaton, couldn't. Certainly gave the linesman on this main stand side a piece of his mind for a couple of seconds, and as you say, when the whistle blew, it wasn't a case of straight up the tunnel. He was waiting, he was ready for the referee and his team coming off the pitch. As he said himself in the press conference, laughed it off a wee bit, probably overstepped the mark, emotions running a wee bit high. In the grand scheme of things, it's not the biggest issue, and he seems confident that there'll be no kind of further action. There's not going to be any ramifications for it heading into Park next week, thankfully.
Yeah, he took it in good humour. He just said they overstepped the mark, and he got a good view in the second half, and the fourth official got peace and quiet in that second 45 minutes, which is good to see from the manager taking it well. There was a little bit of discussion in the press room that perhaps there may be a potential touchline ban, but as far as we know, there's nothing to be doing on that going into the game, either against Panathinaikos or against Motherwell next week. Get into the second half and things go from bad to worse for Rangers, and they go 2-0 down again, concerningly from a set piece. The defence, they just don't deal with it. They have a few chances to clear that ball, and it just doesn't get out there. Dale Fry in at the back post, he finds the top corner, and Rangers find themselves 2-0 down.
Again, we've got a really good view of that goal at the end of the gantry, and the Middlesbrough guy just left in all the space that he's ever going to need. Tries to put it back across, it comes back to him, he finishes it well. A Rangers perspective, again, it's a really poor goal to lose. Something they have to work on, something they have to get better at. Certainly heading into Wednesday night, we saw Panathinaikos here on Tuesday create a number of chances, looked dangerous. said on the videos this week, the first goal is so important for Rangers on Wednesday. If they can get it and go 3-0 up in the tie, puts them in a really strong position. If they defend like that and they give up early chances and give Panathinaikos a bit of encouragement, and Panathinaikos then get a goal, it really changes the complexion of the night. So I'm sure that's something. Don't have a lot of time on the training ground obviously between now and then. I'm sure it's something that Russell and his staff will be looking at.
As we hit the hour mark, the changes were rung by Russell Martin and his team. 7 in total after Lyle Cameron had come on at half time. 7 changes being made on the hour mark, which probably resembled a team much close to what we're going to see on Wednesday night against Panathinaikos. I don't think there's any doubt in any Rangers fans' mind that starting 11 today was an experimental one. It's going to look nothing like what it's going to look like on Wednesday, and when he brought those changes on, that's much closer to the starting 11, and it became much closer to a Rangers performance you'd expect. They really went up through the gears once those players came on, and I don't know if you could take it as a good thing or a negative. That the positive is Rangers played much better after those changes were made. The negative is, does it show how much of a drop off is between the starting 11 and the players on the fringes?
I think that shows exactly what it is. I think the Rangers starting 11 almost picks itself for Wednesday. You're looking at Gassama or Dowell on that right hand side. Apart from that, I think that's it. I think it picks itself. As an addition, as players chapping on the door, as players saying, "I've not had my chance. This is my time. I'm going to show you what I can do." I don't think MD really grabbed it. I don't think MD made the most of that chance. The manager mentioned there that he feared that would be the case in the warm up, so people going through the motions a wee bit and not really being at it. Ultimately, Rangers need a squad to challenge for silverware. You can't just have a good starting 11. I think the starting 11 looks okay. A couple of additions here and there give you a bit more depth, but there's still a number of players within this group that are not at the level that should be allowed to move on. And again, Russell touched a bit on that in the press conference. Talk about Robin Proper moving on, the situation there, a bit of interest in it, and a couple of others. You look at the squad list for today, there's a number of guys there that you could easily move on and you wouldn't really notice it. With all respect to them, you wouldn't notice if they're here or not. And I think today just kind of reinforces the need. Rangers still need a bit of business.
I guess that's what is disappointing when you see a game like today. I said before the game, I often struggle to see the point in games like this, but it should be for players who aren't in the start 11, who haven't had that chance yet to come in. And even if you have a cameo performance here and you play well, it can change the manager's thinking about you. It can cast you in a completely different light going into the new season. I thought it was really interesting. Russell Martin, he made particular point picking out Oscar Cortez when he said that some players' attitude weren't quite right going into this one. They have to be more like Oscar, and just to see the way that he put himself about in that first half. Alright, he maybe didn't create enough, or maybe didn't create as many clear-cut opportunities, but he was running hard, he was chasing after every ball, he was helping out his mates. And there was one I remember in the first half where he just picks the wrong pass in the box and he cuts it a little bit too far back for his man, but if he picks the right ball there, that's perhaps an assist or maybe even a goal if he takes a shot on. So he is one of those positives ones that maybe other players can look at and go, maybe I need to have that kind of attitude.
I was not overly critical, but fairly critical of him in my analysis piece on the website. But because of that end product, as you've just outlined there, I thought work rate wise, coming in and having to play right back, it's also not his position. It's not easy for him. Has to do a job. He got 15 minutes or so playing further up in the second half, so it's not easy to go and show what you can do. And I think that's what the manager's kind of referencing there. Now, looking at the work rate, looking at the effort, looking at the endeavour. If you can bring those and you can then add a bit of quality, then you may be onto something. I think the final pass, the shot, the decision making wasn't quite there from him, and I think people will look at that and say he's a £4 million international player. You should be getting more. Rangers do need more. They should be getting more from him. But if you don't have that work rate, you're never going to get that. So I think that can be, if he's going to take anything away from today, it'll be those words from the manager. Certainly a lot to work on.
Yeah, Rangers did manage to find their way back into this game. First off, through Danilo. It was a Max Aarons ball into the box, and whether it was a cross, whether it was a shot, and we're not quite sure about that, but it did find its way to Danilo, and what a header it was. It's kind of becoming his trademark, being able to get up, and he's got that leap about him, and he puts it right in the corner. Maybe a few people were disappointed with his Panathinaikos performance, given how he's played in pre-season, and now we're back at a pre-season game. He's scored again. He's kind of refound that form a little bit. Do you think this is the real Danilo that we're maybe going to see coming into this season?
I think another goal like that will certainly do him no harm at all. I think it's certainly a good thing for him. His form in pre-season has been good in terms of goals. I wasn't too critical of him the other night. I thought he just didn't have the service, and the Rangers didn't really click for a long period of that game. They didn't really offer enough in the final third. He looked a bit isolated when he did get it. There was nobody really around about him. That goal again, he can go home tonight and be really pleased with it. Dessers was also the other man there that started. Again, service, that was just really non-existent. I think we got to about 25 minutes in and you said, I don't think he's touched the ball yet, because there was just nothing going through him at all. So probably a frustrating afternoon for him. A good one for Danilo, and also Hamza Agaman asked the manager about that post-match. He said it was just a knock that he picked up the other night, just feeling something after not having a huge pre-season programme himself, put in high intensity game, also a big emotional game. Said it just wasn't really worth the risk. Same with Tello Asgard, not worth the risk. Hopefully both should be okay for Wednesday though, which is a positive.
Yep, two positives there with Tello Asgard and hopefully Hamza Agaman being back in the lineup on Wednesday. And another positive is Finley Curtis. He seems to have started this season on fire. I didn't see this coming into this pre-season. I didn't particularly pick out Finley Curtis as a player going, this is his season, this is the one to make a breakthrough. But he's shown that he's grasping this opportunity with both hands. He comes on again today. He comes on as part of that group that the manager has went, go on and change this game, and he's now part of that. And he's came on, he's got his goal, he's made it 2 each, and strikers love goals, and that's him. He scored 3 now in pre-season, two in a week. That can only be good for this young man.
If you're looking for someone to start wide left on Wednesday, it has to be him. So I think the only other call is on the other side, whether it's going to be Gassama or whether it's going to be Kieran Dowell. Finley Curtis deserves his place. He made a great impact second half on Wednesday. As you say, came off the bench, given that back and go and try and get us a goal. Right place, right time. It's not a kind of eye-catching finish like the touch and the run and the finish was the other night, but it's shown that good natural striker's instinct. He scored a number of goals at youth level. We know that he knows how the back of the net is, and again, not quite as an emotional night for him tonight as it was the other night for him, but another great moment. I said, to have another Ibrox experience and to get another goal, great for him, and for me, he's in the team come that night in Athens.
And just before we wrap up here, a little word for those travelling Middlesbrough fans today. I think they brought 7,000 and they sang the full game. What a noise they made. That really added to the spectacle of sometimes these pre-season friendlies can have a bit of a damp squib. Yeah, good away support like that, it makes it such a better day.
It does just add a wee bit something to it. I was at the Bruges game, not actually working that day, but I came here with the kids a couple of weeks ago, and it was a bit flat. It was okay. It was people very much getting back into the swing of the new season again. Today had a wee bit more about it. Say fair play to the Middlesbrough fans making a great journey up there in great numbers. Rob Edwards seemed really appreciative of their efforts, but also the efforts of Rangers to have the game. He spoke really well about Rangers as a club and as a stadium. Nice words to hear from him as well. A good day had by all. I feel a decent workout for Rangers, and now the real stuff starts and we can really get into it.
Well, that's all from us here at Ibrox, where it finishes Rangers 2, Middlesbrough 2, and be sure to stay tuned across all of the Rangers Review sites as we build up to that massive Champions League qualifier against Panathinaikos